By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how to create daily content that brings inbound leads and sales into your coaching business. My name is Owen Dobbin-Caddo, and this year, 2025, I am undertaking the task of building a one-man coaching business to a €250,000 run rate. We've just completed the first 10 weeks of the year, and one of the biggest insights and learnings that I've had this year is the power behind every single piece of content and the potential for scalability, for exponential growth, and for building your brand and your business like no other method of client acquisition. Content is fundamental, and if you get content right, you don't have to chase people around the DMs. You don't have to be this kind of annoying, chasing, repetitive, multiple DM sending coach that, let's face it, nobody likes and nobody wants to have in their inbox. You don't want to be the cold DM person. I get hundreds of cold DMs from people trying to sell me stuff that I simply don't want. And we all kind of know what they're doing, right? People are touching base with you over DM. They're asking you about your dog or your pizza topping or just some nonsense that you really don't want to talk about, and you know that it's not actually genuine and authentic. So what I'm going to share with you today is going to allow you to bypass all of that nonsense, cut out cold DMs to strangers, cut out chasing people around with follow-ups, and actually just focus on creating value and building authentic connection and bringing people into your world through sharing value and sharing your ideas and your insights and your own intellectual property, which you can create through your own thinking and frameworks and systems, which actually serve your clients, can serve you, and then can also be used for your sales and marketing. So when it comes to content creation and creating content that is influential, has ability to inspire somebody to take action, and actually sets you apart from all of the other people out there, there is two things that we need to think about. The first is we need to think about your personal brand, or what I call an influential identity. How can we be somebody who people see and actually want to work with and actually trust to take on board whatever it is that we're telling them? That's the fundamental pillar, because I want you to think about this. If you have the best fat loss coaching program and you are the best fat loss coach there possibly could be, but you do not walk the walk of a fat loss coach. Your diet is really poor, you don't work out consistently, you're sloppy with your training and your nutrition, and you show this on social media, and people can see that although your program may be evidence-based and backed up by all the science, if you're not actually walking the walk and you don't actually look like the person who has the result, nobody's going to buy that program. So the first thing is that personal brand. Now the second thing, once the personal brand is in place, once it's influential, and we'll talk about what that actually means and what that looks like. But the second thing is actually having an offer that is in alignment with that personal brand, and an offer that solves specific problems and that is not just vague and broad like coaching. Right? Coaching is a very vague, broad, undefined, hard to comprehend what does it actually mean kind of term. So we need to have a really clear offer that solves a specific problem for a specific group of people, and more importantly, in a specific way. So we cannot just be shouting and roaring about being calorie deficit coaches or about essentially doing the same as everyone else is doing if we want people to come into our inbox. So let's backtrack a little bit before we look at those two things. But if we want people to come into our inbox and we want them to actually reach out to us and say, hey, Owen, I want to work with you specifically. I have seen your content, I've consumed your content, and I need a mentor, but I don't need any mentor, I need you. I want to work with you. That is essentially where we want to be. We want to be positioning ourselves as a market of one and as someone who stands out from the crowd and doesn't just blend in with all the other bland, boring coaches. And reality is, we are a little bit in a trust recession right now. There is tons of online coaches, and ever since the lockdowns of 2020, tons of coaches came online. The standard of coaching overall came down because the barrier of entry is essentially zero. So what you have is a lot of people who are chasing the online coaching dream, but they're delivering pretty poor quality services. They don't actually know anything about sales and marketing. They just think that they have to post transformations and every now and then say they're looking for 5 people and send a ton of DMs, and they think that's building a business. So that is not what we want to do. We want to remove ourselves as far as possible from being those kind of coaches and those kind of people on social media. So how do we become this person? How do we become the person that people want to actually reach out to, who they want to work with, who they trust and they choose to work with over other people? So let's first start with the first pillar, the influential identity. And this is essentially a personal brand that has an ability to influence and inspire people to action. And when we talk about influencing is not influencer. That's not what I mean. I mean your ability to influence somebody to change the way they think, change the way they feel, and change the way they act. And if we do that in a positive direction, it's influence. Those 3 things done in a negative direction are actually manipulation. But we want to be the opposite. We want to be influential, influencing people to make good decisions, to make their lives better, inspiring people. In order to do that, we actually have to show us the person. We have to show who we are and what we stand for and what our values are. And this is not just me talking to a camera telling you my values. I actually have to show you my values. I can't simply tell you because there isn't enough proof to actually back up that I am who I say I am, unless you can see me doing that over time. So when it comes to values, we think about what are the things that you value most, and are you actually showing them on social media? And if you are, you will connect with people who have similar values and who aspire to be like you or have a life like you. So for me, a huge value is freedom and not being tied to a 9 to 5, and being creative and being able to build and being able to upskill and work on self-development and have free time for my relationships. And so my mentorship model and my business building model is not based around spending your entire life doing one-to-one check-ins and chasing people down in the DMs, because that is just a low use of your time. I want you and I want me to spend time creating leverage and creating digital assets, creating media, creating relationships, creating a reputation of being an expert, an authentic expert, and creating things that actually give you a lot more leverage and a lot more output for the inputs that you put in. So that's one of my values, and you'll see that reflected in the fact that sometimes I don't take sales calls. I just send people documents because I don't want to spend time on sales calls. Or I don't give everyone in my community one-to-one support unless they actually want or need it. And I have a group tier, a mastermind tier, for those who don't actually need or want one-to-one support and want a more affordable option. So I'm not stuck to one program, one price point. I value my health and fitness. So I post my training, and I post the fact that that is a priority over pretty much everything else in my life, because that has to come first, because it's a value of mine, and that will then attract people in. I also don't value chasing virality and chasing vanity metrics like likes and views and viral content. And so I will share that, and I create videos like these, longer form, more valuable videos that actually give you insight into what works. And so you start to see my values. I don't look at short-term trends. I look at what's going to build a business over 10 or 20 years and decades. I'm in this game for the long haul. I'm a long haul thinker. So you start to see my values come through in my content, and you start to trust me more because of these values. And if these values align, you will want to work with me. If you want to be the dancing clown on TikTok who runs around wearing a bra and tries to get likes and views and attention that way, you will not work with me, because I just simply don't resonate with that, and I don't value that, and I don't want to be that person, and I don't want you to be that person. So if you want to be that person, you're not going to work with me. But I'm also very clear with what I stand for and against, and this is a really important part of being influential and having a strong position. And this can be anything, it can be a certain dietary approach that you're very for, but there has to be a dietary approach that you're very against. If you want to be influential, you can't be this yes man or yes woman for everybody. You have to actually take a stance and stick with it. You can't just be the it depends person and say it depends to everything. And in most contexts in life, it depends is a good answer, because for most things, It actually does depend. But when it comes to you building a brand and building yourself as an authority, you have to have some strong anchor point that you are for and some strong anchor point that you are against. So in my case, long form media and content that connects and resonates, authentic content that builds value and trust and delivers my message and actually helps people, versus the thing that I'm rigidly against is just chasing likes and views and vanity metrics and dressing up as a clown and acting the idiot on social media to get views. I don't think that is a good long-term strategy, and it's also not something that I want to do. So that's values. And now I can share my values through my story. I can share them through my methods and my ideas and my beliefs, and we'll come on to that in the second pillar. And my values will just shine through in the content that I create if I create authentically. I just set this camera up, I hit record, I didn't script this, I didn't write anything out, I just had an idea in my mind that I wanted to share. And sure, maybe it's not as structured as 1, 2, 3 when you look at, someone with a short, snappy Instagram reel that's very much curated, but I'm sharing authentically, and I'm sharing what I think you need to hear in order to create content that brings in inbound leads and sales. So this, just the very nature of the way that I'm recording this video, is showing you that I'm authentic and I'm legitimately actually speaking my mind and not making this stuff, not making this stuff up or reading this stuff up off a script. I can share a lot of different things. My mission, one of my missions in life, and my main mission, is to be the best version of myself and give that to the world. And that again is reflected in the way that I build business. It's reflected in the way that I interact with my clients. It's reflected in the way that I build my schedule. And I want to build a business that allows me to focus on self-development, learn better skills, learn new things, pass all of that onto my community, and actually be energized and excited for my job on a daily basis and the business that I'm building, so that I'm not just a overpaid personal trainer who can do coaching classes online, essentially, which is what I used to be. We can go very deep into that. I have like a 90-minute training. By the way, if you want it, I have a 90-minute training called Influential Media Creation, which deep dives on the entire personal branding framework, everything you need to know to go from basically being invisible on social media to having inbound leads and sales coming into your coaching business and people wanting to connect with you and work with you and offer you opportunities. And it can happen very quickly. So if you want that, DM me on Instagram, Influential Media, and I'll send it over. The second thing that we have to think about, right? So we have the personal brand, the influential identity, a strong personal brand, and we have the offer and what you sell and what you deliver and the service. But wrapped into that is also the marketing. And here's the truth. In 2025, if you want to be successful in online business, it is no longer good enough to just be a good coach. You have to be a good marketer as well. You have to understand marketing at a deep level, and you have to be able to market your service and position yourself in a market of one. You have to be able to cut the noise and separate yourself from everything else that you may currently be being compared to, and you don't want to be compared to these people. But if you are an online coach and you are just shouting about calorie deficits and low calorie snacks and sharing your arm day, you are just blending in with the crowd, with the hundreds of other coaches who have inauthentic, unoriginal, boring, generic posts. And that's the reality. And I hope not to offend, but if I did offend you, that's good, because it means that you can take something from this video, you can implement it, and you can really change the trajectory of your content, your marketing, and your business. So when we look at the offer and the thing that we deliver to people, the service, the result, the transformation, most importantly, that we deliver, everything is going to funnel back from that transformation. We have to start there. We have to know, what is the journey we're taking a client on? If someone works with us for 12 months, where do they start? Where do they end? And then content will come from that journey, from your clients, from the community, from the things that you believe. But you also need to, like I said, have a point of differentiation. Have something you stand for and something you stand against. Two anchors. And then you've got these kind of two polarizing topics which you can lean into for content ideas and to actually stand out as a market of one. So let me give you some examples of this so you actually know what I mean. Potentially you're an online health and fitness coach, and if you are, for example, a plant-based online health and fitness coach, by definition, you have got quite a polarizing viewpoint, which is actually good. So if you're a plant-based online health and fitness coach, you by definition are going to be against being a carnivore, for example. You're maybe also against being an omnivore. Now you need to really lean into this. And here's the thing. Real marketing is actually shifting the beliefs of the people who you work with. It's shifting the beliefs of the potential clients who read your content. And right now, there are people reading your content and they see your results, they see your testimonials, they see that you can get results, but they don't believe in the way that you do it. And so potentially you are this coach who is a plant-based online coach. And you need to, in your content, provide proof and actually shift people's beliefs and persuade them that plant-based eating is the solution that they need. Because out there is somebody else trying to persuade them that carnivore is the best diet. You've probably heard of Liver King, right? How was he so monumentally big and famous? Millions of followers. I know he turned out to be a complete scam artist, but the point is that he was able to influence so many beliefs, people's beliefs, that they actually followed him by the millions, even though he was like eating parts of, raw parts of a dead cow, right? So it's not, it sounds kind of crazy that so many people would actually believe him and follow, but he actually shifted people's beliefs because he was this interesting character in great shape. He told everyone he didn't do steroids, which turned out he did, but he essentially managed to shift people's beliefs to actually believe in his system and his method. And here's the reality as well about truth, because you might say, oh, but is that true? Is that false? Is that right or that wrong? The reality is there is no truths in anything, but definitely not in marketing. Because for some people, a plant-based diet is the best diet in the world because they believe in it and it's in alignment with their values and it's in alignment with how they want to show up in the world or the changes they want to see or affect in the world. And for some people, like me, the plant-based solution is not the solution. I love my steak. I love my chicken. I eat every day. And I will not be swayed on that. So for me, that is just not a truth. I believe that you can be healthy on any diet. I believe that you can have the ultimate, physique and health eating a well-balanced diet with every food source in it. That's my belief. And whether I'm right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. I'm right or wrong for me. And so that is my truth. And if someone is marketing to me and talking to me about the importance of an omnivore, mixed, balanced diet, I am going to buy into that and I'm going to believe that and I'm going to be healthy because I take on the components of a healthy diet from that school of thought. On the flip side, if I am the plant-based eater and I totally am against eating meat or a mixed or balanced diet, that's absolutely okay. For me, the truth is going to be that this plant-based diet is the best solution for me because it's in alignment with my values and with my goals and with how I want to show up in the world. So we need to be really clear on our differentiating points. We need to be really clear on what we offer, and we need to be really clear on our messaging and the person that we can turn our client into as well. And we need to be really, really clear on both of these things. I have a deeper training on each of these components, 90 minutes on each. If you do want them, I have influential media creation, which is basically explaining the concept of personal branding and being influential. And I have the art of influence, which is basically around the marketing abilities you need, the messaging, the abilities, the way of thinking about marketing, how to market somebody's problem and then market your solution to actually get them to come and buy from you specifically because you are the person who shows up in the world, who shares their values, who they want to be like. And two, you also have the solution that solves a specific problem. And in your content, you've sold them on both the problem and the solution and working with you. Hopefully that got you thinking. Content creation is a deep, deep topic. And I could go very deep on both of the concepts I've covered tonight. If that was an interesting video, if you took some value from it, please do hit the subscribe button. I am now 10 weeks into the process of building a €250,000 one-man coaching business. It's been an absolute blast so far. It's been challenging, no doubt. I'm sharing updates on this every single week. And if you'd like to follow along the journey, make sure to turn on the little bell for notifications and hit that sub button.